massive donation, largest ever given to an HBCU. It was $237 million, courtesy of Gregory Jerami and the Isaac Batterson VII Family Trust. Now again, a $237 million donation that came out of nowhere. Jerami has no relationship with Florida A&M. He didn't graduate from there, had no family graduated from there. And so folks were shocked and stunned. This would take the endowment of Florida A&M to almost $400 million, making it the third largest endowment behind Howard University as well as Spelman. Well, after this was the case, people were asking, who is this guy? Where does money come from? What does he do? And on and on and on. And so as a result, it's been lots of stuff. The latest development is that the Florida A&M vice chair of the board has demanded an emergency public meeting to address this particular issue. He says that there have been a lot of questions that have been raised. You've got folks out there who are posting all sorts of information with regards to this man. There are people who are suggesting that he may not be real, that this may become an embarrassment to Florida A&M. Apparently, the Board of Trustees was not aware of this donation until the announcement was made. Now, Jerami, what he did, he actually he announced that there was a stock transfer. The stock transfer has been in place for more than a month. He says that Florida A&M has the money. It's already been there. And so that was one of the things that he said. Now, Florida A&M, as a result of the concerns that have been raised by a number of people, the Florida A&M board, they actually released, the communication department released, the Florida A&M communication staff released this statement. Florida A&M University is still extremely excited about Mr. Gregory Jerami's historic announcement yesterday, the Isaac Batterson Family Seventh Trust. We are fully aware of the skepticism that sometimes comes with such a large gift. As expected, some individuals in the public are and will continue researching Mr. Jerami. Please know that FAMU has done its due diligence when it comes to this matter. Additionally, Mr. Jerami has and continues to do his own due diligence on things that have been and are happening at FAMU. While a non-disclosure agreement we signed prevents us from disclosing many details, as was reported on May 4th, Mr. Jerami transferred $237,750,000 worth of stocks into our account last month. Mr. Jerami's $237,750 stock transfer was received in the same manner in which we have accepted all other stocks donated to the university through the FAMU Foundation, Inc. As with any non-cash gift received, such as cryptocurrency, real estate, and stocks, it will be converted to cash and recorded appropriately. Again, we greatly appreciate Mr. Jerami's and the Isaac Batterson Family Seventh Trust generosity. Our students will be true beneficiaries of their most generous contribution. Now, this has been lots and lots of focus because literally this brother has come out of nowhere. They organized, what they did was they actually organized a massive meeting today. And I was going through it earlier today. It was a press call. The press call, folks, was interesting because it had Jerami on it. It had university folks, but here's where I'm still confused, and maybe y'all can help me. How does the board not know about such a gift? I'm confused. Now, Florida A&M has said there was a non-disclosure agreement. I get that. But if you're the university president, you have a board of trustees. Surely you alert them of this. Florida A&M is also a public university. So even though there's a non-disclosure agreement, you still are a public university. So now, not sure who the gift went to. So there's all sorts of questions here that have arisen here. And I get it. Larry, I totally understand why people will be freaking out, because you ain't got somebody black just don't wake up and give away $237.75 million and not go, you giving that much away and you got some left? So I understand the skepticism in Florida. And what really struck me, though, was when this vice chair of the board said he didn't know until the announcement was made on Saturday.
So, Roland, let's unpack this. This is particularly for the communications and development offices at FAMU. So let me start off by saying, I live in a state. I know a number of prominent, successful FAMU alum who are obviously very concerned about what's happened here the last couple of days. So, Roland, I also fortunately serve as chairman of a board of HBCU Foundation. So this story in particular is very interesting to me, because often, foundations, we take in amounts of money, have an MOU with universities, and we take in amounts of money, sometimes large donations. So the non-disclosure agreement is one of the things that really is a red flag for me. I'm not really quite sure why do we have an NDA with this individual, but I think that there's some other deeper issues in terms of the communications issue you highlighted. The board has to always know if there's someone donates $1 million or $2 million, the board's going to have to be notified. Donating $250 million and the members of the board don't know about it and they find about it like everyone else, heads are going to roll when it comes to this particular issue. And I have questions for the people in the development office. I mean, this is obviously a significant amount of money, and they said the transfer went through. But one of the things I want to highlight, and like I said, my work when I'm chairing the foundation board, is usually when people make large donations, they sign some kind of letter of understanding, and they don't usually donate that kind of money in one transfer. There's usually some kind of corpus that may be 3, 5, 10% a percentage of that overall allotment that they will give, kind of lay the foundation, and then in letter of understanding, it outlines over the next 3, 5, 10 years how much money we're going to donate. I don't even think we've seen people like Michael Bloomberg, who's given hundreds of millions of dollars to Johns Hopkins, give up $250 million, and he's a billionaire in one transfer. So I'm assuming that there's going to be some kind of investigation, certainly an audit, to kind of figure out. It appears this gentleman has a history, a checkered history, but certainly if this amount of money, this transfer is accurate, it's helpful and it's outstanding for FAMU. But the idea that members of the board of trustees did not know about this is going to be a problem for the president, the development office, and the folks who are working in communication.
Randy, this story was posted about an hour ago on the Tallahassee Democrat website. And in this story, Gregory Jerami, who's 30 years old, is quoted in this. He said the stocks have been held by the university for over a month now, so I don't know where the confusion or the skepticism would be, since it's already in a financial account with the university. Now, he's a 30-year-old hemp farmer, investor, and entrepreneur. And so, again, now he previously had announced he was going to give a $95 million transformational gift to Coastal Carolina University, but that fell through as well. And so, again, you see here, FAMU's communications office set up a late afternoon online news conference Monday afternoon with Jerami, founder of the Batterson Farms Corporation, to clear up miscommunicated information and set the record straight on the donation. And this news conference took place with the VP of Alumni Affairs, Carmen Cummings, the VP for University Advancement, Shanta Friday Stroud, who's also executive director of the FAMU Foundation, as well, and it was organized for the Tallahassee Democrat, Bloomberg, and the Inside Higher Ed. Sure would have been nice to have some black-owned media on that call, as opposed to having white media, Randy. But in this particular call here, again, university, it says here, but university officials who have said they are bound by a non-disclosure agreement on details of the donation left it largely up to Jerami to answer questions.
Yeah, the lack of transparency definitely just is a red flag. We as a community are already usually suspicious. Anything with money, we're going to say the Illuminati or something has something to do with it. But when you have a young man who's only 30 years old, giving $250 million to a university, no one has ever heard of him, it's kind of suspect. I don't understand how a decision is made at an HBCU or any high institution of higher learning without the board of trustees being involved in that. That's somewhat concerning. And also that there was an NDA to cover what don't they want, or what doesn't he want to be disclosed. And of course, the last two, he tried to give donations to 2 other universities and the deal fell through. So I understand people's concerns. Of course, as a strong proponent of HBCUs and a graduate of one, I am praying that it is absolutely legit and FAMU gets many blessings from the money, but I understand the concern.
Yeah, it's real. So the bottom line is people are raising the issues. And so, again, go back to the Tallahassee Democrat story. By Tuesday afternoon, the vice chair of Florida A&M's University Board of Trustees was calling on FAMU President Larry Robinson and Board Chair Christian Harper to convene a public emergency meeting for the university community to learn more about this donation. So we'll see what happens next. But again, I'm like you. People are asking, okay, it's stocks. What kind of stocks? In what companies? Is it legit? So listen, a lot of questions, and so we certainly will wait to see what happens next.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Well, a few moments ago, the Florida A&M, where they were discussing this multi-million-dollar donation from a Gregory Jerami and the Isaac Batterson VII Family Trust. The check presentation took place this weekend, where he also was the commencement speaker. It is the largest donation given to Florida A&M and certainly one of the largest to an HBCU in history. The board had an emergency meeting today because there have been so many questions surrounding this particular gift. This here was the video Florida A&M released on social media about this donation. Turn the audio up, please.
And sign this agreement on behalf of Florida A&M University, the Jerami Family Foundation.
The $237 million gift is more than the size of the FAMU endowment value and represents one of the largest single personal donations to a historically Black college and university.
To be able to give back to HBCU at this level is important to me. To be able to choose, for our foundation, to be able to choose a university where our legacy will continue and will be the most impactful for generations and generations to come. That is the most important thing to our foundation and us.
President Dr. Larry Robinson says this donation will have a far-reaching impact on the academics and the athletics programs at Florida A&M University.
Well, we are extremely grateful and ecstatic about this game-changing donation to Florida A&M University.
Jerami is the founder of Batterson Farms Corporation and a champion of sustainable agriculture and biodegradable hemp products in Texas. For Florida A&M University, I'm Giovanni Hampton.
All right, folks. Well, after that news came out, it took everyone by surprise. So folks began to ask themselves the question, who is this guy? Who is Gregory Jerami? Well, Jarrell Blakely penned an op-ed in Education Newsflash called "For the Love of Money, Has FAMU Been Fooled?" He's been posting a number of different things on social media about Gregory Jerami, and these are questions that, frankly, were not answered in today's board meeting. Jeremy joins us from Indianapolis. So glad to have joins from Indianapolis. So Jarrell, I listened to about an hour of the board meeting. I had to go live on the show. And so I'm listening to this conversation, and they had the company on that handles investments for Florida A&M, and they were talking about paperwork, things along those lines. So basically, those guys did not vet any of this. And so then I had to jump off right when they had the official on talking about the vetting process and how this Jerami reached out to them, how they began to have conversations with him. He wanted to make a donation to the school. After the Spelman donation was announced, $100 million, they said, well, he wanted to increase his offer. Then they began to talk about this courtship. So basically, let's just, for everybody who doesn't understand, FAMU has not gotten any money. There's actually no money. So this $237 million number that people are hearing, this number, is not a real number. What he has given them is stock certificates in this privately held company where he has assigned the value of these stocks to be $237 million. And what they did was, so he assigned, if I'm correct, a $15.85 price per share, and he's given Florida A&M University 15 million shares in this company. But it's a private company. So the reality is, it's not a publicly traded company right now. So until there's an IPO, or until someone privately buys this company, Florida A&M ain't got no money from this guy, right? Did you hear the same thing that I heard?
Well, first, Brother Roland, thank you for having me on here. I'm really honored to be on here to discuss this very important issue. Today's foundation board meeting at FAMU was a disgrace. And I believe that it was a symbol of institutional failure at Florida A&M University. What we learned today was that the trust contains several million shares of worthless stock. There is no value to Batterson Farms. It doesn't have any land. It doesn't have all of the necessary licenses. It doesn't have any employees. It doesn't have any revenue that would allow it to be evaluated anywhere near $100 million evaluation. And so today's meeting was disturbing, to say the least. The fact that Florida A&M allowed this man to basically con them into accepting worthless shares led the president and leadership to not share this with their board, either the foundation board or the university board, because of a NDA is quite frankly preposterous. For FAMU to basically share that they received a worthless gift. I mean,
right.
It means nothing. I mean, it's completely. I mean,
this just for everybody who's watching. Okay, I own this company. I own Black Star Network 100%. It's a private company. If I right now, I could say, I'm going to gift Texas Southern University, I'm going to gift Paul Quinn College 15 million shares of stock in the Black Star Network. Now, even though I have an actual company, I've got employees, I've got revenue, I can then say, and this is listening to the call, I could say, I am assigning a value of this stock of $15.85 a share. I can just do it on my own. No one, because what happens is, unless there's an IPO, then you can call it whatever you want to call it. That's what this guy has done.
Well, so let me actually.
And then, Jarrell, when I was listening, here's what I never heard, and I was waiting on it. Did FAMU leadership ever visit this guy's company? Did they ever visit his office? Did they ever confirm how many employees he has? Go to my iPad. Tallahassee Democrat has this story. Woman listed as co-CEO with FAMU donor says she never worked for him. Kimberly Abbott, who formerly served on the city council in Birmingham, has known Jerami for years, long before the 30-year-old was celebrated for his donation. In an operation that Jerami himself says employs only a few full-time administrators in a workforce of 7,000 contract employees, Abbott was listed as co-CEO and vice chair of Batterson Farms Corporation, where Jerami is CEO. When asked if she worked at Batterson Farms, Abbott said, "I never did." Jarrell, that's called massive red flag.
So here's the thing, Brother Roland. They didn't even have to visit these places. They could have merely Googled. So when I heard about this sort of gift on Saturday, I just Googled. It took me about 10, 15 minutes to realize that this was a complete hoax. I don't understand how it took me 10 minutes to figure out that this was a hoax. And it took FAMU months of
6 months. They claim it was a vetting process that lasted 6 months.
It took me 15 minutes to realize that this was completely a hoax, which is why I was able to write an op-ed so quickly, because it was apparent. And so the fact of the matter is, this is embarrassing, and I feel really bad for a number of reasons. Number one, the students. Those students who graduated from Florida A&M University worked really hard to graduate, and the fact that they had to hear from this flim-flam artist was actually shocking. I can remember my commencement address speaker. I graduated from Howard University, and we had some really, really esteemed individuals to give the commencement address. The fact that a university like FAMU did not do their due diligence and allowed this man to con them. Listen, president of, what's that?
Well, but for the people who are on the call, here's what's even crazy. They're on the call, they're discussing the donation. I thought I heard this correct, maybe correct me if I'm wrong, where they said some questions came up and they still let them speak. I was listening going, whoa, did I just hear that? They literally said some questions arose, but the president made the decision, yes, let's move forward with him as commencement speaker. I was like...
So let me say this. So let me say this. FAMU deserves better. The fact that this happened is an institutional failure of massive proportions. The fact that this man was vetted or wasn't vetted, and they allowed him to speak is just outrageous. And so, it took me just a few moments to realize that this gentleman was a fraud and a hoax. And so I don't understand how you had an entire university infrastructure. I was listening to the vice president of advancement and the head of the foundation, who actually mentioned that she didn't actually even Google this gentleman, or she didn't do any due diligence. When you look at, it was very easy to figure out that this guy was not kosher. When you look at what he did at Coastal Carolina University, they could literally pick up the phone and call the advancement office to say, hey, what's the deal with someone who is giving this large amount to FAMU? And so overall, I just want to say FAMU deserves so much more. And for folks who think that I'm picking on FAMU, I'm a Howard graduate. If this happened at Howard, I would do the exact same thing. I just think that it speaks to a culture at FAMU's leadership that allows themselves to be conned when they literally could have spent 15 minutes or 10 minutes and realized this was not to be.
I mean, let's be clear. So, you pulled us up. First of all, the guy just created a website. I mean, if you do a search, it is as if this guy's a ghost. But when you pull stuff up, and I'm just sort of shaking my head, going, what in the hell were the FAMU folks doing? And of course, the president now says they're putting this thing, on ice. But I'm still I'm still trying to understand some basic things. What does he have a real business? Have you seen it? Have you been to the offices?
No.
He supposedly is, the stocks are in hydroponic and agriculture business. Have you seen any of it? Has anybody with Florida A&M physically said, yes, we visited his corporate office, we saw the farms, we met with workers? On that, everything I heard in that call, nobody ever said that. When I got off after about an hour, did you hear anybody say that?
No. So that is what's actually outrageous. The fact of the matter is you have an advancements office. You have a president. And the fact that the president did not let the board know is malfeasance of a highest level. I can tell you that it's incompetence. And I'll just say this, FAMU deserves better. The fact that an esteemed university that was led by so many great people has fallen to these sort of levels is really a shame. The class of 2024 had a very difficult time. They started college in the middle of a pandemic, and they deserve to have a commencement address, speaker. So I'll tell you what, I am willing for nothing. I actually make a donation. I am willing to give a commencement address at Florida A&M University so that they can hear from someone who basically did more work to uncover this than the university that they were educated at.
I mean, hell, I spoke Saturday at Wilberforce graduation, and I've done Stillman, South Carolina State, Lane. I got a real resume. This dude ain't got no resume. I mean, this Batterson Farms, the family trust, all this stuff sounds great, and it's just like, what are y'all talking about?
I'm going to say this. If you are familiar with New Jack City, there's a scene when Nino Brown is in the boardroom where he's going around saying, nobody know nothing. I mean, the fact of the matter is how this could happen is an institutional disgrace. And I'm not picking on FAMU. The fact of the matter is it doesn't take a PhD in nuclear chemistry like the president of the university has to figure this out. It took me 15 minutes. And I can tell you that I appreciate some of the phone calls that I've gotten from the Rattler Nation thanking me for this. But I can also say that I was a little disturbed by some of the social media venom from some Rattlers who...
Oh, man, they were dogging you, bro. Mind your... First of all, listen, let's just be real frank. Let's be like, where'd you go to college?
I went to Howard University.
Okay, all right. So you went to HBCU. Listen, I went to Texas A&M. And HBCU folk are protective about their individual school and HBCUs as opposed to, let's deal with the truth. And there were people who were attacking you, they were attacking others, as opposed to finding out the truth. And you've been posting a number of different stuff like, is this the house he live in? Is this the farm? I think you posted one item where he supposedly said he bought some farm or something and the property is still not sold. The thing never went through. I saw one story where he reached out to the University of Texas and they basically laughed at his ass. He called the University of Texas to try to give some money, and the University of Texas essentially laughed at him and hung up. But he's supposedly based in Texas. Bruh, come on.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'll just reiterate. FAMU deserves better. This is, in the board meeting today, was an embarrassment.
You tweeted a tie for an audit is nasty work. Well, explain that. What happened?
Well, what happened is one of the board members was suggesting that they do an audit to evaluate how they got here. And it was a tie for like 10 minutes. And someone texted no, which broke the tie. Then there was another motion for another sort of audit, and it passed. But the fact of the matter is, the fact that FAMU board and the president allow that board to go out in public like that and represent the university like that is shameful. I work in nonprofit management, That's what I do for a living. I'm a manager in a educational nonprofit. If I embarrass my board like that, I wouldn't have a job. And I can tell you that if everybody just goes along like this is no big deal, the fact of the matter is this university trumpeted in a consistent way the fact that they got $250 million when they really received nothing. So there has to be some consequence for folks who allow this to happen.
They got sheets of paper. Let's go to my panel. Greg Carr, you're first. You on mute, Greg.
Thank you, Ron.
There you go.
And it's good to see you, Brother Jarrell.
Yeah, I used to be a student of Dr. Carr, by the way. I took class with Dr. Carr at Howard.
Absolutely. That's absolutely right. It's good to see you, brother. And it's good to see you continuing the great work that I encountered when you were at the university, man. It's good to see you in that regard. My question has to do with, I guess I could frame it by saying we don't have all the facts. I mean, we can certainly last things circumstantial. What would your best advice be to Florida A&M or any black institution for that matter who finds itself in a situation where they have received at least the promise of a gift like this, and now everybody is basically deciding that there is no gift, there is no money? I mean, what would you suggest to be their best course of action at this point until the facts come out? Because we know the facts have not yet been established.
Well, first I'll say, Dr. Carr, that some of the facts are out. So we do know that the family trust consists of 15 million shares of Batterson Farms. We do know that Batterson Farms doesn't have the licenses required to grow hemp, does not have any employees, does not have any properties. And so we know that just because you say a company is worth $1 billion doesn't make it so. And so, I mean, I think it's important to deal with that. But on the second level, and then also there's just some questions, and I think research and articles have proven that Mr. Germany is not who he says he is, or he doesn't have the personal wealth that he has. So those are two facts that I think are important to consider. To your second part of your question about what advice I would have, I would give them the same advice that I would give any institution: to do their due diligence, to ensure that they're doing the proper sort of research and vetting to ensure that something like this could never happen. Quite frankly, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to realize that this was a situation that was not real.
Well, here's a perfect example. Jarrell, hold on one second. Jarrell, hold on. This is from the Tallahassee. Again, this is the deal. In a media availability arranged by FAMU Monday, Jerami told the Tallahassee Democrat that Abbott, quote, left us maybe about a couple of months, maybe about a month ago. She has more of an advisor role right now. She had some health issues. When asked later whether he would be surprised to hear Abbott said she was never an employee of Batterson Farms and never received any compensation as an employee, Jerami said, quote, nothing surprises me anymore. He described her duties as co-CEO as really just there to guide and give more advice, and she didn't do as much work as others in the company. Her compensation, he said, was given through penny stocks. Now, right there. So what people need to understand, Jarrell, we talk about penny stocks. First of all, penny stocks are publicly traded companies. So I think what people don't realize is I can right now go out and I can go buy a shell company. I can go buy and create a publicly traded company, and I could be trading on with penny stocks. This article right here shows you how he gets caught in a lie. So if you paid her through penny stocks, what was the publicly traded company? What were the stocks? This woman is listed as co-CEO. She now says, I never served as CEO of the company. Hello, that's red flag. And so what I don't understand is how did the FAMU board today not vote to call for an extensive examination and investigation and literally track these things down. By the way, according to the same story, there was supposed to be a meeting on Wednesday. You see it right here. On Wednesday, a FAMU spokesperson invited the Tallahassee Democrat to meet with Jerami and officials of the university's foundation office. But moments before it was scheduled to begin, a FAMU official said it was canceled because, quote, something came up, unquote. He said any future interview, quote, was unpaused. I'm sorry, that's a joke.
Yeah, and I do want to say this. I want to answer the second part of Brother Carr's, which is like an alpha sort of meeting here.
Well, that's how it always happens, but go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. So I will say this to Dr. Carr's point. It's important to do your due diligence, and it's also important to inform your board. I think that is a massive failure on this part. The fact that the foundation board and the university board was not informed is a failure of just massive proportions. The fact that the president is saying that they couldn't tell their board because they had an NDA is crazy. The fact of the matter is the president is an employee of the board.
Yeah.
So that's just pure board governance and just pure, organizational governance. And the fact that he thought it was appropriate to say, hey, we couldn't tell you because we had an NDA. You can't do anything.
And you are a state institution. And so even though you are Florida A&M and you sign a NDA, somebody in the state of Florida has the authority to review the NDA. You're a state institution. You can't just hide behind an NDA.
Yeah, and I'm going to say this again, and it's really important. This did not take a lot of work, right? Like, I knew immediately that this was bizarre. And within 15 minutes, I realized it was completely a joke.
Right here. When contacted by the Tallahassee Democrat, the head of the Texas Hemp Growers Association said he had not heard of Batterson Farms Corporation or Jerami. Now, if you're supposed to be a big-time hemp grower, the Texas Hemp Growers Association might know who you are.
So let me say this. I think Jerami has some challenges that I hope he gets help for. I don't necessarily blame Jerami because it's obvious that he needs help.
Right.
Who I do blame is the university that allowed themselves to be a pawn.
Yep.
The fact that they didn't do their due diligence and allowed this man to give a commencement address. That, for me, speaks to massive institutional failures that has to change. FAMU deserves better.
And not only that,
you don't deserve this.
Not only that, Kim Godwin, who at the time was the president of ABC News, was out the next day, sent 2 camera crews to the graduation to cover it. So, Reese, go.
Mr. Blakely, thank you for being here. I think it's strange that FAMU did less due diligence than Risa Tisa did in Who the F Did I Marry on TikTok. But thanks to and part of your voice around this has brought attention to a very bizarre and strange scam, it appears. I just want to get your thoughts on the layer of protection and the defensiveness people seem to have around you specifically calling this out for it seemed pretty outrageous from the start, and people's willingness to call themselves digging up dirt on you as opposed to focusing on the issue at hand, which is it looked like FAMU was being scammed. And have you gotten any retractions or apologies for the people who were dragging you on the social media about this?
Well, I'll just say that people are kind of quiet. I haven't really heard anything recently since the board meeting because it turns out I was 100% right. I don't purport to be perfect. I'm not purporting to be a saint. I've done things that I've regretted. But quite frankly, this isn't about me. And folks are engaging in ad hominem attacks. Don't make the story about me. Make the story about what I'm saying about FAMU. And so it doesn't matter who I call what or what I did when I was an elected official. That's in the past. I've moved on. The fact of the matter is I should not have had to say this. This should have been something that should have been captured months ago. The fact that This gentleman gave a commencement address, and the fact that they didn't do their due diligence is the reason why they're here. It's not, in fact, it should have been someone at FAMU. It should have been someone in the audience that said, yo, this meeting, this commencement address is strange. Who's this guy? But the fact that the entire academic hierarchy at FAMU, folks with PhDs, law degrees, JDs, PhDs, MBAs, allowed themselves to allow this man to present a worthless check on the stage of FAMU's graduation and have Charlie Wilson's I'm Blessed and the OJ's For the Love of Money playing is shameful. Like, it's just, it's the most ridiculous thing ever. And the fact that they allow that to happen is the story, not who I called what when I was an elected official.
Lauren?
Jarrell, is there any possibility that FAMU had some sort of like Mackenzie Scott fever and thought that this was real? Have they ever gotten another donation that was even close to this type of donation?
Well, I'll say that's a really good question. And so, I mean, the fact of the matter is HBCUs deserve this kind of money, and it's unfortunate that they don't get this kind of money. The highest contribution to a historically black college was a recent donation to Spelman College by the Stryker family of $100 million, which is the largest contribution to a historically black college ever. Compare that to Michael Bloomberg's philanthropy towards Johns Hopkins, where he has donated $3.5 billion to one university. That $3.5 billion is more than all of the HBCU's endowments combined. And so I think, you know, there's a desire. I can understand why one official was crying, because this type of investment would have been very transformational for Florida A&M University and other universities of similar stature. However, just because we want something to be true doesn't mean that it is. And it's incumbent upon the people who are paid to represent the university and to do their due diligence to do the right thing. And so I know that, for example, these types of investments just don't fall from the sky. For example, the Stryker endowment that was given to the Spelman College, that Stryker has been on the board for 30 years, and they have given countless money before that $100 million donation. And so for FAMU to think that someone was going to basically walk off the street and say, hey, I'm going to give you $250 million, particularly when that person has no track record, you never heard of them before, speaks to a level of gullibility that is actually breathtaking and really, really shameful. If I was a board member next week when the full board convenes, I'd be wanting some answers. And if I didn't get any legitimate answers, I'd be telling folks, we'll send your box in the mail, you know, go home and do something else with your career. This is a very big deal. The fact of the matter is, this is an institutional failure of huge proportions, and multiple people failed the university and failed the students by not doing their due diligence.
So let me say this here again. What was said on the call today, which was stunning, was that this guy called out of the blue. He just called the office one day saying, I want to make a gift. And they begin to have different conversations about different gifts. And you heard Jarrell mention the $100 million to Spelman. On the call, on the Zoom call today, they said that after the Spelman College donation was announced, Jerami came back and said, I want to increase my gift to exceed the Spelman donation. And they went, yay! This is absolutely insane. Lauren?
No, I didn't have anything else. Thanks.
Well, Jarrell, so what? So this was the foundation meeting today. What's next week? An actual Board of Trustees meeting?
Yeah, I believe it's an actual Board of Trustee meeting. I think an outcome of the foundation board meeting, the president, Robinson, mentioned that the sort of gift is on hold, right? Which is another example, because the gift was never on. So how can it be on hold if it was never on? I think that the board meeting was outrageous. The fact that people just didn't fall on their sword, or people just didn't say, hey, we messed up, I just think really speaks to a culture. Listen, if Dr. Robinson has a job next week, I'd be shocked. Like I couldn't imagine. Put it like this: if Dr. Robinson is able to survive this, the problems at FAMU are a lot more intense than even this situation would imply.
We shall see what happens next. Jarrell Blakely, thanks a lot.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you.
Folks, what you're seeing is the Twitter feed from Florida A&M University. What you're not going to see on the Florida A&M University Twitter feed are any videos and photos of the $237 million donation that was announced a couple Saturdays ago by Gregory Jerami, the so-called hemp farmer out of Texas. That's because the decision was quietly made to delete all references from social media of this donation, this $237,750,000 donation. That's because you have had a lot of reporting out there that is showing that this is really a fraud, that it's a joke, that this stock that he gave to the university, that he claims a month ago, this stock is really worthless. No one can identify if he actually has a farm. No one can identify what kind of company that he has. He's claimed to have 7,000 contract workers. He's claimed to have farms in multiple states, and none of that can actually be confirmed. Last week, the Florida A&M Foundation held a meeting where it got real contentious. There were a lot of questions that were asked during that meeting with regards to this donation and what it entails. And again, they have been unable to really answer a lot of those questions. On Wednesday, the Florida A&M Board of Trustees, they are going to have a meeting where this is going to be discussed. Now, on that call with the board, with the foundation, there's one sister who was on it who actually has a strong financial background. She raised some really important questions that I think Florida A&M needs to answer. Listen.
I want to first say that I just want to say how excited I think a lot of us were when we saw this first come through. A major donor gift, the institution, to take the institution to a transformational level is amazing. However, I have to say that I came here with an open mind. I'm listening. And as a new member of the board who just started in January, I'm really here to focus on our fiduciary responsibility to be financial stewards and to protect the reputation of the foundation itself. I'm sure there are operational and leadership challenges and concerns that will be addressed by the Board of Trustees next week. So I just want to make sure, folks know that I'm here to really understand the process and the transaction itself, because what is striking to me is what I heard from our OCIO from Disciplina, that they just heard about this for the first time on Sunday evening. As well as what I'm hearing and what my personal experience is that the first time I heard about this was a text message from a friend forwarding me something on Saturday, and the board got no official notice about this until Sunday afternoon. That's very, very problematic with such a major donation. So my concerns are twofold. One is about the overall process and financial controls, how staff is able to do 9-figure level on behalf of the foundation board without the foundation board knowing about it, signing contracts, et cetera. So how did we get this far without knowledge of the transaction or the donor by the OCIO or the board? How are we thinking about contracts and review and execution of those contracts? And how is the board being informed after the fact? Because if the document that I saw, the agreement that I saw, is the final agreement, it's not even fully executed. So if you take note on the signature lines, the donor line is empty. It's not signed. And so those types of things are very concerning. And then moving on to the transaction itself, and those would be concerning if this was cash or if this was a public stock and we could liquidate and we could move it into our investment policy, et cetera. The process itself, I am very concerned about how this took place and how we're here. Now listening to the transaction history, how this donor came to us, the process internally that took place, some things that are very obvious are that we didn't have a formal due diligence process because I was simply going to ask for the due diligence report and third-party valuation to try to quell a lot of the questions. But what I just heard is that it didn't exist and that we're deferring valuation until later when we're making public announcements. And so the structure of the deal, I think we started hearing it with questions with Disciplina, are these restricted shares? How is it structured? Who was the issuing company? So we got that answered. How are we vetting the due diligence? Is there a KYC report, et cetera? And so where I'm going to leave this, because I think we can't answer the questions I originally had, is really going to President Robinson. I need to understand from you when you were aware, how were you involved in this process, and what was the decision-making thoughts around excluding both the board of the foundation as well as from the vice chair's announcement yesterday, apparently talk your shit, kid! To get to this position to make a public announcement the way we did. I would like to hear from you, your level of involvement, when you knew how decisions were made up to this point.
Yeah, thank you very much. Director Kidd, I have been involved in the process pretty much all the way along. When the money proposed gift, rose above a certain level. 4 seconds. I was informed by Ms. Simmons enough, and I have been following it throughout. At the time, it rose to the level of a stock change when the NDA agreement was made. I was committed to honoring that agreement, which indicated that I could not share them. Not only with this board, but also with my board chair as well. She was made aware of this event, of this activity on Saturday, like so many other people were. And so I was compelled by the NDA agreement not to violate that for the potential of losing what we thought was a great opportunity at the time. And that's really, I don't know if we violated any Foundation Board of Directors policy or procedure when it came to this gift receipt. But I do think it's something worth considering how we might handle such gifts in the future.
I want to first say that I just want to say how excited I think a lot of us were when we saw.
All right, so where shall I begin? The comment that you heard from President Larry Robinson right there was one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. How in the hell can you, the president of a public university, say, well, I signed a non-disclosure agreement and I didn't want to share with anybody because we might lose the money? You are the president of a public institution. That's one. This is the sister who was jamming him up. Shakisha Kidd. Everything she said was on point. She's like, who was involved in this? And how do you have a document that was not signed by all parties, but your ass put a press release out? You put out this big old story. You let the man give a commencement speech. The folks at ABC News obtained the document. The board chair signed it. They pulled a video that was on their Instagram page of the president signing it. Jerami signed it But there were two signatures. There was one for the trust representative and one for Jerami. The trust line was empty. So how in the world do you come out publicly and tell the world that you got a $237,750,000 donation that to the layman or the laywoman, you think, yo, somebody actually gave them $237,750,000. No. You come to find out that it was $237,750,000 worth of stock in a company that nobody from Florida A&M checked to see even exists. He valued the 15 million shares at $15.85 in a non-existent company. And you touted this, and it went public, and you celebrated it, and you let him give a commencement speech wearing them sharecropper shoes. And all of a sudden, y'all look like the biggest fools in America. Let me just go ahead and say this, because here's the whole deal. The board can't fire everybody. The board of trustees can only fire the president. The board is going to meet on Wednesday. If it is absolutely true that the board chair of Florida A&M Board of Trustees, if the board chair of Florida A&M Board of Trustees was aware of this gift, and if the board chair signed this document with the Isaac Batterson Family 7th Trust, if that is the case, the board chair needs to be replaced. If the board chair is replaced, President Larry Robinson needs to be fired. And after a new president is named, the new president should fire every single Florida A&M individual who was involved over the last 6 months in any meetings and the vetting of this individual. I'm very well clear in terms of what needs to happen here. Because if you're the president of the university and you do not tell your board, tell your foundation, tell anybody about any of this, that's crazy. The ABC affiliate there, this is what they said. In the document FAMU's Public Records Department provided ABC 27, the following people signed the agreement. Gregory Jerami, Family Foundation representative, who we now know as a joke. Larry Robinson, FAMU president, he needs to go. Shanta Friday Stroud, vice president, university advancement, and executive director of the FAMU Foundation, she needs to be fired, or she needs to resign, because this is what it says. In the agreement copy provided, there is no signature on the line for the Isaac Batterson Family 7th Trust representative. ABC 27 asked FAMU's Public Records Department about this. We're waiting to hear back. It laid out a 10-year donation schedule, all this stuff. Oh, it had all this stuff in it. Y'all, all this now, we now know is an absolute joke. We know that this is grossly illegitimate. It doesn't exist. I don't want anybody to lose their job. But if you're a public employee at a public university, you are a steward of the public. Your credibility and integrity in leadership is based upon credibility and integrity. And if Dr. Larry Robinson, as well as Shanta Friday Stroud, as well as anybody else who was involved in this, none of those people should be in a leadership position at Florida A&M. Because not only is this embarrassing, it also shows they don't even know how to use Google. It shows they can't even do basic research. It shows that they didn't even have the common sense to hire somebody to vet this guy. I read one story where he called the University of Texas because he's supposedly based in Austin. They laughed at him. You publicly announce a deal that wasn't even fully executed. Do y'all understand that when I moved into this studio space, I did not say a word publicly until I had a fully executed document in my hand, signed by me, the leasing agent, and the company we leased it from? I've never bought a vehicle. When we got the Mobile, I didn't tell anybody what we bought until I had the title in my hand. This is basic as hell. So you literally have two cameras from ABC News, because the then president, Kim Godden, is a Florida A&M graduate. You had two network cameras present, and you happily announced a $237 million donation from a crank. How can anybody at Florida A&M, faculty, staff, student, alumni, state officials, trust anybody in leadership with making right decisions if you could not figure out this dude was a complete fraud? And if Wednesday, if the Florida A&M Board of Trustees, when they have their meeting, if the board chair says, I was aware of this through and through, gotta go. Gotta go. And anybody who was involved in this, they cannot lead. I don't care how great of a person they are. I don't care how nice they can't lead. Because I don't believe anybody in the FAMU Rattler family could have any trust whatsoever, any trust in them. Kristen Harper, she's the chair. She is the founder and CEO of Driven to Succeed LLC, which provides market research, brand strategy consulting, keynotes, and training on leadership and emotional intelligence for Fortune 500 companies and rising leaders. There is no way, if she was aware of this deal, she could lead a board chair. Because if you provide emotional intelligence for Fortune 500 companies, there clearly was no real intelligence in vetting this crank, Gregory Jerami. Julian, you're the president emerita of Bennett College. And I'm sure over the years, you have had people come to you wanting to give to Bennett. I'm sure you've had people come to you, Julian, promising all sorts of grand and wonderful things. And I'm sure you probably went, okay. Well, please hand me your card, and we look forward to talking with you. And you went, please Google his crazy ass to see if he real or not. Am I lying?
Something like that. I mean, I have actually one of my funny stories. I had a brother approach me. He wanted to give us $230 million, but he claimed it was a couple million. But he also wanted the opportunity to speak at commencement. And he came at me in April. I said, no, dude, that ain't happening. We already have a commencement speaker. Well, if I could just get 5 minutes. No. Hell to the no. In fact, I got in trouble because I wasn't that nice to him. But, and I guess I could have smiled, but it was BS. And then he didn't have what he said he had. But why would I let him speak at my commencement? Speak to my students who are at at a significant milestone. Now, this whole thing, as soon as I heard about it, it reeked. But the worst thing about Roland that breaks my heart is not just that FAMU didn't vet this man, is that they were so eager to get the money that they let good sense go out the window. And this speaks at some level to the desperation in which so many HBCUs exist, needing money desperately. But what FAMU has done, what they've done, it's not harmful to FAMU, it's harmful to HBCUs in general, because it makes them look like a bunch of Mr. Bojangles dancing buffoons. That's what it makes them look like. And others are going to look and say, is this how they do business in HBCU land? So it's really very tragic. And this guy, I mean, I don't know. But President Robinson, I don't know either what he was thinking. I've been in his company. He seems like a nice enough brother. But this is just unacceptable and unreasonable. And his whole development team needs to be gone. Just start over.
Listen, Derek. Go to my iPad. She signed this thing. Shanta Friday Stroud is the vice president for university advancement. She's executive director of the FAMU Foundation, and she's also dean of the business school. First of all, let's be real clear. You can't have 3 major jobs at one time. Let's just start there, okay? Yeah. But that's immaterial, Derek. She signed it. There is no way she could do any. I'm sorry. She might be a nice woman. You are the dean of the Florida A&M University School of Business, considered one of the top or the top business school at an HBCU. You are the vice president for university advancement. You are the executive director of the FAMU Foundation. And you didn't use Google? You didn't say, hold up, a 30-year-old black guy who we ain't never heard of calls us out of the blue to offer he wants to do a donation. And you never uncover the previous donation to Coastal Carolina, $95 million that fell through. And you move forward with an announcement. You sign a document he never signed. There's no representative for the trust, and the money was coming from the trust. I'm sorry, Derek. Nice people sometimes gotta be fired.
Hello.
And they should have resigned by now. Follow your sword and resign. But if they haven't resigned, I'm sorry. They got to go, Derek.
You know, when you have fiduciary responsibility, Roland, there are processes, there are policies, and there are protocols already in place. And any of us who have ever been in a fiduciary responsibility understand that those 3 Ps that I just outlined, you cannot deviate, especially if you are a historically Black college, who, to the point that Dr. Melvo highlighted, now this shadow could be very well cast upon all HBCUs. It doesn't make it right, but this is what happens when a story at this magnitude and this kind of gravity, to the point that you're making, Roland, it impacts us all. It is not fair. I get it. But when you think about this kind of level of money, now it's one thing, Roland, if Jeff Bezos called up Dr. Larry Robinson and say, hey, I'm Jeff Bezos. We all know.
But hold up. If Jeff Bezos calls you on the phone, say, Shay Dog, FaceTime me so I can know it's your ass.
That's exactly right. Because even if it's Jeff Bezos, Roland, we will still take Jeff Bezos through the process and make sure the protocols and all the requirements of the policies are in place.
And guess what? And even if Jeff Bezos was sitting right there and we signed the documents and then I went, hold up, dog, you didn't sign. We ain't announcing a damn thing until I see a fully executed agreement. And any line that's empty is not a fully executed an agreement. And I'm firing the Florida A&M General Counsel. Because Renita, the Florida A&M General Counsel, should have said, hold up. I got the president. I got the FAMU Foundation and Gregory. There's a line missing. There's a line for the representative of the foundation. This is not a fully executed document. We are not going to publicly announce this until all parties have signed the document. I'm sorry. They got to go, Renita.
Well, and that's what I'm wondering is, did he even run it past their counsel? Because, and that's my question, because when he saw that they did not sign, that didn't trigger anything in his mind to say, maybe I need to speak with the university attorneys to ask them, doesn't this seem weird that they didn't sign? I mean, I have my own consulting business that I run. And let me tell you this, when I'm giving a client a contract, an agreement, I actually would let them sign first before I sign, because I really want to make sure that they are locked in. And so the fact that that didn't ring any alarm bells for him is amazing. The other thing that's amazing, too, is, like we've all talked about, if this trust doesn't even exist, it's not even real, then that lets us know that he had never heard of this trust when they approached him. So why would he not go and try to Google and see if he could get any information about them? As for the other people that were involved, yes, they should have done their due diligence, but I bet you money when the details come out on this, they all are probably going to say, which is probably the truth, that they assumed the presidents would have done, that the president had done his basic research as it relates to this agreement. I bet you that's what they will say, is that they probably could not imagine a situation where the president had not done the research, because that's what anybody would do. If somebody approaches you to say they're going to give you something and you never heard of these people, and it's a really large gift that you don't just find walking down the street, like, it's all just kind of unbelievable. It's unbelievable.
And here's the deal.
It's not the president's job to vet the thing. It's a VP of development. Stuff comes to your desk. The president, if the president were aware, should have said to the director of development, are you sure this is real? Let's talk about it. But the director of the development is the one who dropped the ball, not the president.
No. Hell no. You know why? I listened on that call last week. I forgot the woman who was talking. I'm sorry, I don't have the name right now. But on the call, I can't use the precise words, but she said on the call that some skeptical things came forward. I forgot the precise language, but she mentioned that there was something that came up, and she said President Robinson said move ahead with him giving the commencement address.
That part. Okay, you're right.
I was listening to the I listened to the call about an hour before I came and did the show. I forgot the precise language. I'm paraphrasing. He made the call, and here's the other deal: FAMU. They've now taken the stuff down from social media. This ain't down.
People got pictures.
Hold on, no, this wouldn't. Come on, Anthony, come on. This will never go down. This is President Larry Robinson introducing Gregory Jerami at the 2024 May commencement at Florida A&M. And now every single graduate in the 2024 class for the rest of their lives are going to have to deal with the reality that a fraudster was their commencement speaker, and their university did not have enough common sense to properly vet this man and look at his background. And matter of fact, turn the audio up.
Grown locally by Patterson and local farmers. His journey showcases resilience, innovation, and service, making history as the youngest African-American industrial hemp producer in Texas and the largest African-American commercial hydroponic warehouse farmer in the state of Texas as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm Rattler welcome to our speaker, Mr. Gregory Jerami.
He stood there and he read off all kind of stuff about this dude and about who he was and how he, you know, and I'm sorry. That matter of fact, this is how it started. Come on, guys, audio.
Hemp products in Texas. Mr. Jerami overcame early adversity to become a prominent figure in the industrial hemp industry and a pioneer in producing and selling high-quality hemp seeds. He was born in 1993 with opioid addiction and other health complications. When he was 2.5 years old, he was adopted by his foster mother, whose love and support helped him to overcome his physical challenges. With his determination and guidance from mentors like former Arlington, Texas Mayor Robert Nance Clark Jr. and a Merrill Lynch banker, Mr. Jerami honed his sense of civic duty and financial skills. He transformed a small lawn care business into a prosperous property management venture, then delved into investment, consulting, recognizing opportunities in southern farming. In 2021, he formed Patterson Farms, a San Antonio, Texas-based hydroponic farming and hemp plastic industry that aims to produce bioplastics and fresh organic products year-round, grown locally by Patterson and local farmers. His journey showcases resilience, innovation, and service, making history as the youngest African-American industrial hemp producer in Texas and the largest African-American commercial hydroponic warehouse farmer in the state of Texas.
Julian, if you're going to stand up there and read all of that stuff about his background, don't you think somebody should have said, is all of this stuff verified? Where did you get it from?
Somebody should have. There should have been somebody in his office, a speechwriter, somebody, the communications person, somebody who would have looked at this. I mean, it seems quite far-fetched and fantastic. And so somebody just as a matter of course. But we could go all the way back to the basics. How come nobody Googled the dude? Just Google it, put his name in there. Because I never heard it. I don't think any of us have heard of this foundation or this farm that he has. It's just common sense. I mean, I Googled somebody before I have coffee with him. Just because I'm nosy. I want to know what's up. So, I mean, no, it is really a disgrace on FAMU, and it's a great disgrace on HBCUs. And it's very, again, it partially shows how eager we are to get money for our schools, but also shows how stupid, and I use the word stupid advisedly, stupid some folks are not to check stuff out. You got to check it out. It's so embarrassing. I mean, I feel embarrassed for FAMU. And I think about the sister you had on, who's the dean of the business school and the VP of advancement and what else? Or something else.
And executive director of the Florida A&M Foundation.
Well, often the VP of advancements, they often couple those roles, often, but not always. But Sybil Mobley, who was the illustrious dean of that business school, who was an amazing Black woman, I mean, she's turning over. She is doing, you know, she's turning over in her grave. That woman did so much for that university. She was such a strict taskmaster. I cannot imagine anything like this happening under her watch, because she checked everything. Down to the details. So it's so embarrassing. And as I said, it's a black mark on FAMU, which I hope they can recover from. But the only way they're going to recover, and Roland, you're right, somebody needs to fall on their sword. But, you know, people need their jobs, I guess. But this is one where I screwed up. I'm out of here. That's one of those.
Yeah, I just simply, come on. I mean, they organized a call with media. Y'all go to the Tallahassee Democratic story. During Monday's call, Jerome explained how his journey of building up his wealth over time started with a landscaping and property management business that he owned before selling it in 2016. He then launched an investment company called Batterson Southeast Capital Group from 2007 to 2020 before shifting to hydroponic farming of plants with Batterson Farms Corporation, which was established in 2021. Y'all, here's what's crazy. In April 2023, Texas-based TV station KAMC reported that Jerome, said to be the youngest African-American hemp producer in Texas, bought 114 acres of land with 7 warehouses with the goal of hiring 600 people and building the largest commercial hydroponic site in West Texas. Jerome said he currently has only a few full-time administrative employees, but about 7,000 indirect and contract employees that he expects to grow to a little bit over 10,000 by the end of the year. He said he has about 2,500 plants per acre, but he declined to share his annual revenue or net worth. Here's, again, this is real basic for me, and I said this last week, Renita, Derek, and Julian. If I'm Florida A&M and somebody trying to give me $237 million in stocks, we're gonna have a meeting at your offices. Mm-hmm. We're gonna fly out to meet with you. Mm-hmm. I need to see your company. I need to see. Oh, that land, he brought a TV crew with him. That land is still available. He never bought it. Mm-hmm. This is what I'm talking about. And in this same article, the Texas Hemp Organization, the largest, I gotta find it in here. I forgot the guy's name, but the guys with the largest, he represents. So if you are the most prominent black hemp producer and you own all this here, how is it that the group that actually oversees all Texas hemp farmers ain't never heard of you? I'm sorry, y'all. This is, at the end of the day, heads gotta roll. Mm-hmm. And it can't be one. If the board chair knew, board chair gotta go. And the board gotta fire the president. And whoever they install as a new president, he got to fire at least 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 people. I know that might gut the leadership of Florida A&M. But y'all, this is a massive screw up. Massive. They had already outlined how they gonna spend the money. Oh, $100 million going to athletics, and we got money. Y'all, this thing detail how they gonna spend this. Oh my Lord. The dean of the business school, she talked about, we done had the stocks for a month. The stocks are in this. If anybody came to me right now and said, Roland, I'm gonna give you 1,000 shares in my company and the shares are worth $15.85, I'm gonna go, what company? Where you located? What business do you do? We're gonna sign non-disclosure agreements. You're gonna have to provide me financials. Y'all, this is unbelievable. I'm just gonna end on this note. The Board of Trustees meets y'all on Wednesday. We're gonna see what they decide. Yeah, this is awful. I'm gonna deal with the UNC Chapel Hill stuff tomorrow, the whole DEI stuff. Hell, I got Julian, Renita, Derek. I gotta take a break. I just gotta go in and get me some water. Because I spent time this weekend thinking about this here, and I just could not wrap my head. Y'all, I ain't lying. I could not wrap my head around how this even got to an announcement and let the man give a commencement speech. And somebody sent me a note, literally on the phone call. Stroud said on that Zoom last week, doing their research, quote, she found some sketchy stuff, unquote. And the president said, yeah, let's still move forward. We'll let him get a commencement speech.
If I was Larry Johnson, I wouldn't even Google it. I would say, wait a minute, his company's in Texas? Let me call Roland Martin. Because if this company is in Texas, there's one person that knows all of Texas.
And if I don't know, and if I don't know him, I'm gonna call a group of folk who I know in Austin. Y'all ever heard? Do y'all know how many times that's happened before? Somebody has called me, hey Roland, so and so say he's a big businessman in Houston. I ain't never heard of him. Let me call some folk. Hey man, ain't nobody heard of this dude in Houston. Nobody.
Right.
Buyer beware. That happens all the time.
You know what, Roland? The only blessing up in here is that the white folks don't pay attention to black folks. So this is not on the front page of the New York.
Oh no.
Because it's the kind of thing.
No, it's made Politico, the New York Times. It's made all of them. And look, I don't care about white folks. I don't care about white media. It's made out front. And it's been an embarrassment to the school. I can't trust you making a decision down the road if you couldn't sniff out this fraud. And this was an easy one to sniff out. This wasn't even hard. He ain't got no real business. Imagine if you got a real company. He didn't even have a real company. Y'all, I can't. All right. Julian, Derek, Renita, I appreciate y'all being, but ooh, Lord, yeah. I got to go. Thank y'all being on the show.
Fanbase is pioneering a new era of social media for the creator economy. This next generation social media app with over 600,000 users is raising $17 million, and now is your chance to invest. For details on how to invest, visit startengine.com/fanbase or scan the QR code. Another way we're giving you the freedom to be you without limits.
Ain't nobody going to jail at Florida A&M, but I still don't understand what they're doing. So today the Board of Trustees had a meeting, y'all. Talk about this debacle, this $237 million fake-ass gift that came their way. And so what the board decided, first of all, during the meeting, it was about almost a 2-hour Zoom call, the president of the university, he apologized for what happened. Y'all got the apology? Play it, please.
Board of Trustees will allow me to address you regarding the proposed gift from Mr. Gregory Jarami. Let me begin by stating that as president of Florida A&M University, I take full responsibility for this matter and the ensuing fallout. I apologize to this board, the Foundation Board of Directors, our students and their families, our faculty, staff, alumni, and friends who have worked so hard with us over the past several years to elevate Florida A&M University to its current status as the #1 public HBCU and the rank of 91 in national public institutions in America, according to U.S. News and World Report. It is because of you and a dedicated and committed team of individuals who come to work every day to tend to the welfare of our students and perform their work consistent with our core values of accountability, inclusion, innovation, and integrity. And to our donors whose generosity has led to new levels of fundraising and enabling the university to further support our mission, enhance student success outcomes, and so much more, please know that FAMU is still a sure bet when it comes to stewardship of those funds you provided us, and without question, they will be directed to the programs and special initiatives that you intended to support. Your investments have made and will continue to yield positive outcomes for many years for Florida A&M University. To the governor, the Florida legislature, the board of governors, and state university system chancellor and staff, we're extremely proud of being a part of the #1 state for higher education in America and gratefully acknowledge your vision and substantial investments that help make FAMU a place where students' lives are transformed and endless possibilities created, as indicated by FAMU being ranked 21st in the nation among national universities with regards to social mobility. Thank you. I must admit that missteps were made in the manner we handled the proposed gift from Mrs. Rami. It is my belief that with the guidance of this board, we will arrive at a process much more transparent when it comes to such large gifts in the future. I saw in this unprecedented gift the potential to serve our students and our athletic programs in ways unimaginable at that time. It would truly be transformational, I believe. I wanted it to be real and ignored the warning signs along the way. There was no personal gain, but the impact on our students and our university would have been extraordinary. However, last Wednesday, I received information suggesting that all was not what it appeared. I immediately contacted Chair Hopper and the VP, Dr. Friday Stroud, and informed them that the engagement with Mr. Jarami should cease, and we all agreed. For the record, I must note that I did not inform Chair Hopper of the gift, nor did I inform Chair LeBou of the Foundation Board of Directors, the chair of the Foundation Board of Directors, prior to the commencement program on Saturday, May the 4th. I owe a sincere apology to Chair Hopper, who happened to be at commencement and was asked to pose for pictures with Mr. Jarami, not knowing about this whole event or affair. It was reported, by the way, in error, that she knew of the plans, that she did not. My oversight is in no way a reflection of her integrity and diligence. I was determined to honor a non-disclosure agreement that, if violated, I thought would jeopardize this transformational donation. The public announcement at commencement was premature at best, and I apologize to all who witnessed it and shared their joy and jubilation in the Lawson Center and in places through which the ceremony was streamed. In a gesture of good faith and accountability, Dr. Shante Friday Stroud, our Vice President for Advancement and the Executive Director of the Foundation, has decided to step down from her advancement role to focus on her duties at the School of Business and Industry. I've accepted her resignation, and I am thankful for her excellent work in boosting our fundraising to new heights. Her decision shows her dedication to transparency as we move forward. In the meantime, Dr. Donald Palm, our Executive Vice President and Chief Operating Officer, will serve as Interim Vice President for Advancement while discussions are underway as we speak with the Association of Governing Boards, AGBE, for a longer-term interim. We will then look at a new full-time dedicated Vice President of Advancement as we review our processes, working closely with this board and the FAMU Foundation Board of Directors. I thank all of you for your commitments to this institution. Our motto has long been excellence for caring, and we will continue to pursue excellence in all that we do here at Florida A&M University. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. That concludes my remarks.
So what the board then did was they voted to hire an outside group to get to the bottom of what happened in this whole thing. Okay, I'm sorry. This is completely dumb to me. First of all, there have been numerous news stories that have laid out that there were a limited number of people who were involved in this. Why do you need to hire an outside agency to spend money to produce a report to figure out what happened here? Hell, that's real damn easy. That's literally to sit here and say, President Robinson, when did you first get a phone call or contact from this Jerami individual? Okay, Stroud. Who else has been involved in this? Can you name all the people who were involved in this discussion? Oh, NDA. Okay, please provide the NDA. Who signed it? I mean, you could go on and on and on. And even during the whole meeting, the board chair, y'all put the board trustees up. Y'all had the graphic up. I'm going to put it up. The board trustee, during the meeting, she talked about Kristen, how she was there to take a photo. She had no idea about it. So why was her name on one of the documents as a witness when the deal was signed? I'm not signing the damn thing as a witness if I don't know nothing about the damn deal. See, all this stuff makes no sense to me. It makes no sense whatsoever. And I sat there and I had numerous board members, transparency and accountability and using all the wonderful, great big words. But this is very simple. That is who, what, where, when, how, why. And you heard the president say the VP resigned. She had 3 jobs. She was the VP, she was executive director of the FAMU Foundation, and was dean of the business school. Okay? They ain't the only head needs to roll. And I'm not sure that that's enough resigning from one of those jobs. I'm telling you right now, several people need to go. When you embarrass your university like this, you gotta go. When you make your university look like an idiot to the world, you gotta go. And if for President Robinson to sit here and say, well, you know, some mistakes were made, dude, you were told that there were some discrepancies and you still said move forward with allowing this person to be the commencement speaker. I don't get it. And I'm telling you, Rebecca, FAMU folks can say, well, you know what, this is just our business. No. This impacts beyond FAMU and other HBCUs in the state and across the country. And if you couldn't do a basic Google search, and I understand, I asked questions last time saying, where was the general counsel? My understanding, the general counsel wasn't involved in this. What does that tell you that you have somebody who's trying to give you a $237 million gift who you have no knowledge about, who you have no relationship with? This is not like the white woman at Spelman who gave $100 million, her and her husband. She's been on the board damn near 30 years. They've given millions before. So that's a long-standing relationship. This dude came out of the blue in Texas. I get, Jolanda, you there in Houston. If this dude calls you up and say, hey, Representative Jones, I want to give $100 million to Texas Southern University, and I'm the biggest black hemp farmer in the state of Texas, 7,000 employees, you probably going to say, when can I come by your office? They never even, that boy gave an interview where he said, well, folks can find my corporate office. They didn't even know. If somebody come to you with so-called $237 million in stock, I'm going to need to see your operation.
Oh, absolutely.
They didn't even do that. They didn't even pull up when he tried to give $95 million to Coastal Carolina and the deal fell through. They didn't even do that. And it was out there. They could have Googled that shit. It's crazy to me. And well, let's hire an outside firm. So y'all gonna waste more money to do what people have already done in 15 minutes on Google? Jelana, go ahead with your comment.
So this is what I'm saying. If somebody wants to give you that large a gift, which I believe would have been the largest gift to an HBCU, you've got to understand that you are representing all HBUs, quite frankly. People are going to judge other HBUs based on how you do this. So I'm going to call them in. I'm going to have my general counsel there, even though I happen to be a lawyer. You stupid if you're your own lawyer. I'm going to want to know the source of the funds. I want to know if you're a legitimate person, because people are going to scrutinize a gift of this size. They just are. And for the board not to know, or I don't know, did they know? Because Roland.
No, board didn't know. Board had no idea. The foundation had no idea. The president said, I was abide by an NDA. Yeah, just because you sign an NDA don't mean you don't talk to your bosses.
And if you have an NDA, if there's a valid NDA, why did he bring it up at the commencement? Right? You got to ask those questions. And so I think it's a very bad look for HBCUs. And I agree with you, Roland. A bunch of heads need to roll. And because clearly there's a system in place at FAMU that doesn't know how to vet, I guess, legitimate donations or not. And we don't know that. So I hate that it happened. I hate it especially. It's sort of like when we realized that the DC shooter was black. We were like, damn, when we start shooting people like that, right? Because that's normally not what we do. If we get the opportunity to be the first of something with a donation like this, we need to make sure we have all the people in the room. How is the money going to be spent? How's it going to be allocated? How much do we get each year?
Oh, no. They did all that. Here's the thing. They had this whole thing laid out how it's going to be spent over the 10 years. That ain't the problem. The man said, I'm going to give y'all $237,750,000 in stock in my company, and I'm valuing the 14 million shares at $15.85. First thing I'm saying is, where your company? I need to see it. Don't send me some paperwork that you sent. I ain't trusting that. What the heck? They literally accepted on face value everything that man said and sent, and nobody looked. The man had an issue with domestic violence against his ex-wife.
Exactly.
He got all that's public record. They didn't even do a basic public record search on this dude.
But Roland, the value of stock can fall.
No,
the value of stock
not even the value of stock can fall. That shit could have been some penny stocks. That could.
That's exactly my point. What is the value?
It could have been a fake company, which we now know it is.
So that's exactly my point. Basic things that people could have looked up, they didn't. If you've ever, people lose big in the stock market. The stock market is designed for most people to lose.
But here's the whole deal.
Like going to a casino.
I could understand if it's real stock. It wasn't even real stock, Rebecca. It's a fictitious company. They got fictitious stocks in a fictitious company, and nobody had the common sense to say, can we pay a visit to his corporate office so we can actually see for ourselves? He claimed he got 7,000 contract workers. Rebecca, Jolanda's there in Houston. I'm from Houston. There's no way in hell you could be a 30-year-old black man who is the most successful hemp farmer in Texas and nobody else black know. If you Florida A&M, you should have said, hold on. Texas Southern University, y'all ever heard this dude? Nope. Okay. Prairie View A&M University, y'all ever heard of this dude? Okay. Houston Tillerson, y'all are in Austin. Y'all ever heard of this dude? No. Paul Quinn. Y'all are in Dallas. Y'all ever heard of this dude? No. Okay. Wiley College. Have y'all ever heard of this dude? They could have called How this boy from Texas, and he called Florida, he's supposedly based in Austin. It's a black college on the other side of the freeway. But he called Florida A&M. He skipped over every black college in Texas to call Florida A&M. And nobody at Florida A&M thought to call the HBCUs in Texas and said, have y'all ever heard of Gregory Jerami, a 30-year-old hemp farmer who claims that he wants to give us 237 million. Rebecca, go ahead. I can't. Go on.
So here's the thing. This is not an HBCU issue. This is a FAMU issue. And it pains me to say that. I have a lot of friends who are part of the FAMU, right? But this is embarrassing for them. I mean, I work with high value donors all the time. And whenever my organization, other organizations that I've been a part of have received large gifts, and $237 million is a large gift, there is a third-party intermediary that's a part of that conversation, because even when it comes time to transfer either the stocks or to transfer the actual money, it's not just you talking to the principal and then that's it. There's teams, and for a gift that large, even the donor will have attorneys, financiers, assistants. There are other people in this process. It's not just someone just showing up either by Zoom, or I don't even know if it was an in-person meeting with FAMU. So it's very disconcerting that FAMU failed for the banana in the tailpipe. I don't understand how this happens. And then when I Googled him, I know it's wrong to judge a book by its cover, but when I Googled him and saw his picture, my immediate thought was, I know you effing lying. Like,
girl,
are you serious?
Girl, listen. When FAMU posted that photo, then they just took everything down. When they posted that photo, I saw him in them sharecropper boots. I was like, boy, that's how. Right, you mean to tell me Ebony, Black Enterprise, you're trying to tell me all of these Black magazines don't have him on the cover, talking about how he is the youngest multi-millionaire self-made in this country? So this is not a story. He would not have been on the Breakfast Club. He would not have been featured in the Griot. There's so many other steps. We would have known if he was worth that much money. Hold up. We ain't even talking Black Enterprise.
The Shade Room.
Not now. Black newspaper in Texas, because he ain't real. First of all, I'm sorry. I know appearances are not everything, but ain't no way in hell. Now, I done 22 commencements. Ain't no way in hell somebody rolling up to my commencement dressed like this and trying to convince me they ass got me.
And for all those who say, why
I'm sorry, I ain't
in the same jeans.
I'm not dissing farmers. I'm not dissing Black cowboys. All I'm saying is you gotta have some common sense. If somebody called out the blue, I mean, nobody Googled, and they said the vetting process was 6 months. What y'all do for 6 months? When people found this stuff out in 20 minutes. Okay. Y'all done? I'm sorry.
Roland, look, I know that we see pictures of white billionaires who are just walking around with dirty jeans and wear the same black t-shirt every single day. I get it, but let's just take a step back. Let's think about how Black folks do things. This isn't about white billionaires or white high value people. Black people still do things a certain way.
Yeah.
And whether or not you are high value, you don't show up like
we ain't coming to commencement in some Wranglers.
Right, and that's not saying that you have to
absolutely don't look clean.
We ain't doing that.
Yeah, that doesn't mean you have to be in designer gear from head to toe.
No, we ain't doing it.
Saying that has to be name brand, but you do not present like that.
I'm just saying.
Board should go.
Listen, I'm sorry. Look, the board trustees voted some outside firm. No, y'all, this literally, see, this is crazy to me. If I'm on the board, no. And it was only a handful of people. Hell, They could have interviewed all them people today. They could have interviewed all 5 or 6 people today, and you ain't got to waste another month or whatever the hell. So that's just dumb to me. All right.
I wanted the people of Baltimore to hear it from me. I have done nothing wrong.
Prosecutor for the people. But I see that what you are trying to do is destroy this black woman for doing her job.
I have heard your calls for no justice, no peace. However, your peace is sincerely needed as I work to deliver justice on behalf of Freddie Gray.
Maryland was a force to be reckoned with. I was assuming this was all because of Freddie Gray, but it actually is much deeper than that.
Baltimore's top prosecutor, a woman named Marilyn Mosby, was indicted yesterday in the Eastern District of Maryland for perjury. Couldn't help but think about Donald Trump.
This is what you got to deal with when you are a black woman fighting for just causes in America.
Yeah, but just taking on the police, period. She's stepping on their toes. They want to cross her out of the system so she can't stand up for the preacher.
Reached in the pool and grabbed me and pulled me out.
Imagine if this were you. You would want people to stand in your corner.
I lost my car. I lost my job. I lost my marriage. And I almost lost my mind for a little while.
It's just so much right now, Lord, and I'm just saying, why are you putting all of this on me? I'm about to break.